Hi, in this edition of the Connect the Dots podcast, I want to give you some tips for managing your fonts between Illustrator and InDesign. As you can see here, I'm working with this magazine layout, and I have a image here, and I have a frame that contains an Illustrator file. You can see in my links panel that this object is an actual linked Illustrator file. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually delete it and kind of start the process in Illustrator. So you're probably working with a couple of font variations for your magazine title, and you have a couple here that you are working with. Notice I have them over to the side and not on my artboard. What I'm going to do is choose one, and instead of bringing it over, I'm actually going to hold down my Option key and bring over a copy. Now, if I outline my fonts, Command-Shift-O to outline, I've noticed that some students tend to do a copy and paste. Now, although it does bring it into InDesign, you'll notice that what it has done, it's converted the vector from an Illustrator vector to vectors in InDesign. So it's basically just a bunch of anchor points here that I could then find some way to edit or manipulate. Now this may be a good option for you. However, notice that if I made any spelling errors, any kind of major editing that I would want to do, I would have to go back to the Illustrator file, redo it, copy and paste it again. There is no link between this frame and Illustrator. Notice there's no reference in my links panel. So I think a better way to work, I'm going to delete that, is like this. Yes, you want to bring your object, your text into the artboard and outline it. I'll bring my New York City over as well. Command-Shift-O to outline. And I think I'll even work with a little bit of color here. And when I save it, go over to InDesign and do a file place. There it is in my project folder. I can draw a frame and it's automatically inserted. What I like about this method is that it always maintains a link back to the original Illustrator file. So if I want to make any changes, I can go back to Illustrator. Maybe I don't like this typeface, I can take that off the board. Maybe I want this to be left in black, not stroked. So I can bring in another option, outline it, change the color, and save. When I save, go back into InDesign, I can double click my links panel and it updates. So my last tip for you is back in Illustrator, you'll notice that yes, you do have these live typefaces. These are the actual live fonts. This one is outlined. But now let's say if you bring this document over, maybe you forgot to bring this font. What I usually like to do to cover myself, I'm going to take these fonts as well, copy them, and always have a version that is outlined. So in essence, you have a live font version. And through your document info, you can see all of the fonts that are being used within this document. I have the artboard with an outlined version of the fonts that is going to be read by InDesign. And then I have an outlined copy of the 10, just in case I forget any of them. When you save, InDesign only recognizes what's within the artboard and displays that on your document. So this is just one tip for increasing your workflow. Happy designing!